Well, in 2014, two young women decided they wanted to learn more about their own culture through art by creating a platform for cultural diversity. And they wanted to bring some interested folks along with them. That's when they teamed up to launch Museum Hue. It's a cultural walking tour group primarily for people of color that visits all sorts of fun sites and institutions in New York City within a cultural, social setting.
Very important. Yeah. And here to tell us more about how and why they started this business are its co-founders, Monica Montgomery, welcome.
Thank you.
And Stephanie Cunningham, and it's awesome pleasure to have both you ladies here on BK Live today.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Can you just start off by telling us a little bit about your background and how you sort of came into this venture?
Sure. So I'm a native daughter of Brooklyn, Brooklyn Heights in the house.
Oh, yeah.
I am also the executive director of the Lewis Latimer Historic House Museum. And coming into the museum world a few years ago, I didn't see myself reflected. I looked around, but I mostly saw people of color at the front desk, you know, doing menial tasks, but not really in leadership or making executive decisions. And I figured, what a loss, what a missed opportunity that was. And I wanted to create this connective tissue for people of color to experience culture, to be pipelined into cultural jobs, and to celebrate museums. Hence, I connected with Stephanie, and Museum Hue was born.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. And for me, I've been in the field for about 10 years now. I'm working as a professor, teaching museum education and arts and education, and also working at Weeksville Heritage Center, which is a 19th century historic site of an African American community, one of the first free Black communities here in Brooklyn, in the United States. So we're very excited about that. And also partnering with Monica and myself being a Brooklyn native. I'm from Flatbush, and also wanting to see more people of color in this field. You know, our diversity is our greatest resource, right? And having more people of color being in leadership positions is truly important to me and to us, and so we decided that we should introduce more people to the field of who identify as people of color, but also give people of color more voice as well within the museum, in the staff. So we are excited.
So we are happy to have you two here. You've put in the work and you have all of the background for this thing, but we seem to be at maybe a cultural tipping point when we were saying we have New York's First Lady, the nation's First Lady, talking about inclusion and making everybody feel comfortable in these institutions. So is that something that they've just arrived at the same time, or is this something in the field that is reaching sort of a tipping point? Or how's the museum world looking at welcoming folks of color and different cultures in?
I think there's always been a slow burn for diversity to be championed in museum, but right now, this point in time, museums are sexy, and everyone wants to align themselves with one.
Museums are sexy.
Museums are sexy, and we're here to champion that as well. And so politicians and celebrities and all sorts of citizens want to connect with the museum, but they're seeing the same things that we do. There's not enough diversity, and finally, everyone has the courage to speak out and is saying, what's happening, what's going wrong, and how can we fix it?
You know, when I was younger, my family, we would go on these things called Volksmarches after meals, and you know, family would just get out and go for basically, you know, just extended walks. And I know a lot of people didn't do that, but the idea behind Museum Hue, where it's a walking tour, you know, in Brooklyn and you know, in the city, you know, what is the, I guess, the impetus, you know, to walk through that entire situation rather than have a group where you meet? You know, what is it like to actually go on one of these tours? How many places do you go? How long does it last? Is it, you know, tell us about the typical tour.
Absolutely. So we go to different tours, different cultural institutions first, and we meet and we do walk throughout the institutions, and we talk about what the institution is doing to have more diverse staff, but also what they're doing to have a more inclusive environment as well. So not just having people of color walk throughout the space or learn about the collection and the artwork on the wall, but how are we really working to utilize the space as a place for communities of color to be welcomed in, and also a place for more people of color to be staffed into the museum as well, to create that true environment that embraces all culture, because we are really about empowering different cultures as well. Cultural equity is really critical for us also. So our tours probably last about 2 hours. so far that's been the lasting time, but we're hoping that maybe we'll have like a day-long trip maybe in the future where we probably go maybe to another state, because we don't want to keep it just in New York City. We know that there's a need for this all throughout the country.
Yeah, we've been expanding to other places by talking with folks in New Orleans and Smithsonian's and other cities that want to bring our flavor to where they are. And we're more than just walking tours. Walking tours is a program that we do, but we're a collective advancing people of color in arts, culture, and museums. So whether that's getting them jobs, whether that's having tough conversations, whether that's just saying, here's this great collection, this exhibit, let's go together. We're doing all of that and more.
So in order to sort of beef up the other side, there's that administrative and the vision side where everyone benefits if there's more inclusion. But museums are sexy, Monica. Like this weekend, I woke up, there was actually an exhibit I wanted to see at, what is it, in Columbus Circle at MAD, the Museum of Art and Design. So I woke up, I'm on my little iPad, and I was like, all right, $16 to go here on Saturday, or I could go see Mad Max for $11 if I motivate and get out of this bed while it's still matinee price. Why is it so expensive? Like, what are the bars there? If they can go like on Thursday night for free or pay as you want, why am I paying $16 to go in the afternoon? That is like, I like to think of myself as a person who does things, but it's like, it really put something on my mind. So what about those things? Those seem like natural barriers to keep it with old people in places.
A lot of times, price is definitely a barrier, keeping people of color out, keeping low and kind of underserved communities out, and we want to break those barriers. So every tour that we've done to date has been free. So if you roll with us next time, you're getting in VIP.
And you say that one more time.
$3.99. Free.
Absolutely.
F-R-E-E.
And our next tour is coming up pretty soon. It's going to actually be at Weeksville on June 13th, and so we're very excited about that. And so people can find out more about our tours and our mixers. We have our Unity mixers as well, and you can find out all about what we do on our website, museumhue.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and
just reached 3,000 followers.
Yes, yes, very exciting. Nice, awesome.
What have been some of your most memorable experiences or during the tour? What kind of feedback have you gotten?
Well, we've had so many events now, it's kind of hard to choose just one, but in my mind, the most memorable was when we launched at Mokata. Mokata is a friend to the organization. James Bartlett and Lori are like mentors to us, and they were kind enough to host us in their space to launch this movement. We had about 150 people pack into those galleries to celebrate what Museum Hue is and can be, and just the way that people received us, we'll never forget that.
So Museum Hue works to advance the visibility and viability of people of color working in the arts. But what we also feel is important, just as important, is increasing the visibility and viability of these cultural institutions as well. Most of those people who came to our event have never been to Mokata, Museum of Contemporary African Diaspora and Art, right? And they were excited to be there and, you know, plan to visit again. And that's also very critical for us as well. There's larger institutions like the Metropolitan Museum and MoMA, and those museums are great, but we also want to highlight those other institutions that are doing the work to increase the visibility and viability of other cultural groups here, right here in New York City. And so that's also been a huge part of our mission as well.
How do you make the people feel like the spaces belong to them or are their own? Just to like walk through, it's one thing, going with the group helps, but just to take that extra step, and it's like, okay, at the Met, they have the Chinese thing now, so Chinese people can go to the museum now. Do we have to wait for something Black before African American people feel welcome? Like, what is that just bridge to get people in?
Museum Hue is the personal invitation to every person of color. And so we try to connect with institutions and find out what they have coming up and become that bridge to say, hey, this is their free night, or here's their public program, or here's ways you can make art with your children. Come on in. This is open to us. We've also partnered with the organization Cool Culture right up here in Brooklyn, and they're definitely increasing access for families to go to museums for free. So we're helping get volunteers for an upcoming family festival called Catch the Cool, and we're trying to find organizations that want to to bring us in, and where we're going where we're loved.
Awesome. I love
Absolutely.
it. Museum Hue. I'm going
Absolutely.
to follow on Twitter today.
Yes, come with us.
Yeah, at Museum Hue on Twitter, Bheard, 3,002 followers. Facebook, Museum Hue, IG, Museum Hue, everything is Museum Hue.
Yes.
And sky's the limit. And you have plans to roll out in different cities soon. as
Yes,
well,
we
so-
do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm loving it.
So tell us why it's important.
Museum Hue is critical. We see that there's a need for it. Again, the fact that we have 3,000 followers on Instagram. We've only been around 6 months, and people have been every day emailing us about opportunities to come with us on these trips. We've been partnering with cultural institutions to get people in their spaces, but also get people jobs. And so we see that people are wanting more diversity. So we're excited about having that done. We're excited about our future program that we have coming up, leveraging leadership, where people have the opportunity to speak with leaders who are in the field. If you're maybe an emerging leader, maybe if you are a college student and you want more information, but it's critical for us to introduce communities of color to the arts in general. Yeah.
So it's a pathway. It's
And
Yes.
just in terms of what we're doing in the future, our trifecta is going to be advocacy. We are definitely involved in the New York cultural planning process and getting deeper with that. Careers, getting people in museum jobs. We have a private jobs group that people are joining every day, where we're posting things and we're advocating for people to get these careers, and partnering with different cultural institutions who want our audiences to come.
an idea whose time has come.
Absolutely.
Just
Museum
ask
Hue.
Michelle Obama.
Yes.